And we will start with a talk from Adrian Popescu about trusting the trustees. Off you go.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Adrian, and I'm a malware researcher at Bitdefender Anti-Malware Labs. And I will talk today about digital certificates and how they are used with malicious purposes, even if they are issued or not with this purpose. First, we'll talk about briefly about digital certificates in general, then about possible vulnerabilities that we noticed in the entire process of digitally signing a file. Then, why would anyone use this? Basically, why would malware creators use this kind of good? Then the economy behind this. And finally, what can we do to stop this trend of using digital certificates with malicious purposes? First, in 1988, the standard X509 was initially issued. This is the standard for a public key infrastructure. It assumes a strict hierarchical system of certificate authorities. And in 1989, IBM Lotus had already code signing available. Code signing is the process of digitally signing executables and scripts. The purpose of digital certificates is to confirm that the software author is who he says he is, and to guarantee that the code has not been altered by a third-party channel. Also, a trustworthy environment is generated between the software developer and the user. Also, another advantage is that a digitally signed executable generates less and more trustworthy warnings when executed after download. And also, nowadays, some Windows version enforce the signing of drivers in order to register them. In order to continue, we have to talk briefly about the cryptography behind digital certificates. They are using asymmetric cryptography. That is a class of cryptographic algorithms which requires two separate keys. One key is public and one is private, and two parts of the key pair are mathematically linked. Usually, the public key is used to encrypt the plain text or plain data, and the private key to decrypt it. On digital certificates, the plain data is fed to a hash algorithm, and the result from the hash is signed using the private key. This generates a signature, and along with the plain data, it's generating the signed plain data, the signed data. In order to validate this data, the signed data, we have to extract again the plain data and the signature. The plain data will be fed to the same hash algorithm, and along with the public key, we'll validate the signature. So what are the steps into digitally signing a file? First, we have to choose a certificate authority. A certificate authority is an entity that issues digital certificates. We have to choose one that is trusted by Windows. We can choose from 52 names that are available. Then we have to provide company information in the application form of the certificate authority. Information such as commercial registration number, current address, service bills, contact details, and so on. The information must be easy to validate by the CA. Then wait until the information is checked by the CA and the confirmation is received on the contact details. Afterwards, we have to install all necessary software and implement the methodology of good practice. This methodology states how the digital certificates should be used, how they should be stored, when to sign files, how to sign files, and so on. After all the systems are installed and working properly, then we have to just sign files just before deployment and distribute them. Basically, this is the overview of the process. A company requests from the CA a digital certificate from the CA a digital certificate, and the certificate authority issue a private key. The certificate authority must be trusted by operating system on which we want to publish our files. An exchange for the public key of the certificate authority is done already. Then the company is taking its unsigned file, and along with the private key, will digitally sign the file, resulting in digitally signed file. Then the user can take that digitally signed file, and in order to validate, it's requesting the operating system to validate this, and the operating system will use the public key from the certificate authority and the public key from the certificate of the company and validate this. We noticed in our research 3 major groups of attacks that can be made. One of them is on the request from the company to the certificate authority using social engineering techniques. The second one is on the private key after the certificate is issued, basically stealing the private key. And the next one is a cryptographic attack on the digital certificate. The first one, using social engineering techniques, basically social engineering in this context refers to psychological manipulation of people or companies into divulging confidential information or performing certain action. The first technique is the usage of fake identities to trick the CA into issuing a certificate. We have to impersonate a large company employee and trick the CA to issue a certificate. In this case is the well-known case of VeriSign issuing a certificate to a group of people that pretend to be from Microsoft. This certificate generated an entire discussion about revocation list, how they should be checked, when to check, when to download them, how this should be available, and so on. The next technique is to use stolen identities to trick the CA into issuing a certificate. Basically, we can make appropriate internet searches and find information about employees with managerial position. We have here an example, a certificate that is issued to Heman Mehta. This was valid in June 2014 and was used to sign malware files. On a simple internet search, we found information about Heman Mehta, information like email address, state address, manager title, and so on, telephone number, and so on. What was interesting is that for this certificate, another email address, not the one we found, was used, but an email address from the same company. It's possible that it was used an email address that was already compromised. Another technique is to use information that can be difficult to validate, or we can use the same name or variation of it, to multiple certificate, to issue multiple certificates from different CAs. We have here 3 certificates that are issued basically to the same person, John William Richard. We can say that because it is used the same state address. And also we noticed that all the 3 certificates were issued in consecutive months and to 3 different CAs. If none of these methods work, we can try to steal the private key. First, we have to distribute malware to spam or exploits in order to infect the computer that managed the digital signing process or the system that stored the certificate. In our research, we discovered a simple pattern that was used by many malware families like Zeus. The pattern is something like this: just open the system store, enumerate certificates, duplicate them, and send them. We also encountered some malware files that, besides stealing the certificate, were also deleted from the store. We then search in our database for malware digital stealing capabilities, and we found that in the last year, the number of similar malware files with certificate stealing capabilities had doubled. This is a trend that we know already. When new goods can be stolen, then more and more malware files will be with that stealing capabilities. If none of these methods work, then we can try a cryptographic attack to the hash function, basically to the MD5 or SHA-1 functions. We not encountered this on malware families yet, but it's known that it's possible to generate 2 files with different behavior with the same MD5 hash in basically seconds. but on a simple computer. But those files would not be so different at the binary level. Also, a mathematical approach for creating SHA-1 collision with a complexity of less than 2 to the power 69 was demonstrated. The best attack, I think, is 2 to the power 60. And that attack will take over 1,000 years on a simple computer with 12 cores to create a collision. But taking into consideration the large malware botnets that are available now, we think that in the near future, it is possible to generate one collision in a feasible time. OK, so why would malware creators be interested in something like this, only to create a more trustworthy environment between them and the users? So we conducted an experiment. We took 10 well-known antivirus products, installed them on different systems. We created one test certificate and registered that certificate on each test file, on each test system. We then took 100 malware files from well-known malware families that were all detected by all antivirus products. We signed those files with our test certificate and retest the detection of the files on those systems. The results are something like this. We noticed that all the antivirus products lost at least one lost detection on at least one file. The lowest detection rate was 63%. The average was 90%. We also noticed that only 3 antivirus products lost more than 10% detection. Basically, we can conclude that not all antivirus products are using the digitally certificate like a marker for detecting or not detecting this kind of files. Next, in our research, we encountered that not only malware creators use digitally signed files, but also creators of potentially unwanted applications. This is mostly due to the lack of clear rules of detection. We cannot wonder if these certificates, the information from the certificates, are not real and are from the companies that create those potential unwanted applications, and the information are not stolen or fake or something else. We conducted the same experiment, now with 100 files that are considered to be potential unwanted applications. And now the detection rate is much lower. The average was 80%. The lowest detection rate was 75%. Basically, now only 3 antivirus products lost less than 20% detection. Almost all lost over 20%. This is, we consider that this is possible to the lack of clear rules of detection, and also that potential unwanted applications are very similar with clean files. Basically, something like this. It's a potential unwanted application and is also signed. It's possible to be clean now. So we encounter some advantages. We notice some advantages, like lower detection rate, that only drivers with valid certificate can be loaded in new Windows version, and that we can create an illusion of trustworthy environment. Basically, this was used more on the potential unwanted application. Also, we observed that the supply of this kind of goods is increasing, mostly due to the effect of increasing number of malware files with certificate stealing capabilities. Also, we have to take into consideration vulnerable drivers with a valid digital signature. In our research, we stumbled on this certificate that was issued to Banyan Tree Technology. We noticed that this certificate was used to sign potential unwanted application, like other application and so on. Afterwards, we noticed that the same certificate was used to sign also malware files, like downloader and one well-known family like CRFF. After this certificate was revoked, the files from the CRFF family were signed with another certificate that was valid at that time. This one was issued for AGM telematics. Then we noticed that the same certificate issued to AGM telematics was used to sign files from the Zeus family. Then when this certificate was revoked, we noticed that these files were signed with another valid certificate, this time issued for plain view. Using these connections and this, okay, we saw a revoked certificate, look at that family, what certificate is used right now, and so on, we stumble on this image. And we cannot wonder if is there a black market where we can buy this kind of goods, certificates that can be used in order to sign files or sign whatever we want. So what can we do? First, the operating system could block execution of non-critical files that are signed with revoked certificates, or could alert the user if a file is already running and is signed with a revoked certificate. Also, the certificate authorities should improve the validation of applications and should improve revocation list in order to properly specify which certificate is used by malware. If this is implemented, then the operating system could say to a user something like this. This certificate, we saw this certificate to be used to sign malicious files and also clean files. Take care. Then, we, the vendors, should properly share this information and collaborate with the CAs to revoke the known certificates that are known to be used with malicious intentions. Also, the software developers should better secure the signing system and should use test certificates until software deployment. Also, they should revoke old unused certificates. And finally, the users should check the certificate information better and be aware that this is a widely used trend by malware creators in order to evade detection. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Any questions? There in the back.
It seems to me that the antivirus industry could assist with this problem if the vendors wrote detections for revoked certificates to remove them when they're detected in transit or in storage.
Okay, but some revoked certificates are also used in signing clean files. What we do with the old files that are signed? Once there is a certificate that is valid for 2 or 3 years, and after 1 year is used to sign malicious files. The files that were clean and signed with that certificate, what we do with them? We cannot detect them. They are clean.
Over here.
I hear that one of the problems is the time taken for revocation of certificates. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it will be better to create a clear rule from the vendors, from the security products, to the CAs to revoke these certificates. But I think first it's important to implement a system to say clearly that a certificate is used with malicious intentions. The time, it depends a lot from the certificate authority to certificate authority.
All right, right there.
What's your thought on the new extended validation authenticated standard?
Sorry?
The new to be practically used. It has existed for a while on paper. It's a new standard similar to EVSSL. Requires additional validation. Requires additional rules around key transfer, secure hardware devices. I think potentially could mitigate some of these issues. I don't think it completely does. I'm just curious what your opinion is.
I don't know really about this new method.
Hi, just going back to the question before, no, a couple of questions back. How about instead of blocking anything signed with a certificate that's been known to be used to sign malware, block everything that's been signed since the first known sample that was signed.
Okay, this is an idea really, but we stumbled on, okay, for that time, okay, we can check the computer time or something like this. But this is not assuring us that after a certificate is used to sign malicious files, the same certificate is not used from that point on to sign also clean files. It's something.
Yes, of course you don't know that, but to protect your users, you're actually doing them a favor, even if you occasionally block a legitimate file that's been signed, and the person who owns the certificate has clearly failed in their duty to keep it secret, because otherwise something bad couldn't have been signed with it, right? So they should be blocked, because there is actually no way to tell if something's legitimate, because we know that the signing key has been compromised. So I would argue that it's very, very difficult to not take the position that once you know that access to the key has been compromised, everything signed with that key should be considered to be compromised.
Yeah,
and it's completely unreasonable to argue otherwise. It's not wrong or right, it's completely unreasonable. And we live in an imperfect world, so put your foot down, everyone put your foot down, all the vendors put your foot down and decide that's the policy that you're going to implement. And if that causes a few people to scream, then they'll go and fix their fucking screwed up systems, won't they? Because they're going to have to buy new keys, and they're going to have to look into what went wrong and how it got stolen. Because otherwise they'll be buying a new key next week as well, and then another one next week.
Yeah, but I think, okay, I don't want to argue this, but really. Go on. But I think first is the legal term of this. I don't know if, okay, if there is something clear about this, like you said, okay, if a certificate is revoked, but I think it's important to be revoked and, okay, to be known by that product that is used by with malicious content. Because right now, certificate can be revoked with multiple reasons, not only, okay. In this case, right?
Only for certificates that you know have signed malware, not for all revoked.
Yeah. Really, I don't know the legal term of this, the legal way. I think if that certificate is from, I don't know, an important company. Let's say, I don't know, better not say names. Okay.
Adobe.
No, it's okay. I don't think it's really right to do this. I don't know what to say, but I think it's better to create something in the middle. Okay, revoke those certificates that are signed from this point on, or change all the certificates. But I think there are cases where a small company could not buy a new certificate. And I think they will not agree with this.
If they can't afford to buy another one, they shouldn't have let the first one get compromised. I mean, they have failed their fundamental responsibility to the whole, I mean, because it's a trust-based system,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So they have failed their end of the deal. So there's no reason for anyone else to pretend that they should be upholding the rest of the signing business for the owner of that key, for anything signed by that key, from the point at which you know that it's been used to sign something it shouldn't have.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. I think we'll take the next question here in the front row.
Hi, just a curiosity question. Obviously, you've been tracking this for a while. I was wondering whether you saw any spike of use of stolen certificates after the Heartbleed.
I don't know. I didn't see something like this. I saw a spike in February, I think. That time, many certificates appeared. I don't know. It's possible that the market, I really like that slide, this one. I think the market now, in February, when I saw the spike, was, I don't know, okay, on sales, possible, I don't know. I didn't see any at that time.
All right, let's give it back to Nick.
No, this is a genuine question. This is genuinely a question. There are actually two.
Okay.
Do you think there's, do you think it's a market or do you think it might be a service?
I think it's a market, really. In my opinion, I will give you my opinion, because some certificates are, I don't know, maybe someone want to have, okay, I want this certificate and I only myself I want to use this. It's possible, I don't know. I don't really know about this, how it is. But it's my opinion, because one certificate is more important than the other, and we notice some certificates that are used only by one family, only by a single one. But that's the reason why I consider it to be a market.
All right, do we have any more questions? All right, please join me in thanking Adrian. Fuck that. Here in Barcelona. Are you there? No, it's fine. I'll see if I know where you are. Are you? As long as I can find you.
Just, okay.
Speaking in the other tracks is good.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.